The big hand is on the 12. Oh, actually, it's gone after the 12 now. The little hand was on the 6. But thank you all very much for joining us. My name is Jonathan Jones. It's my pleasure and privilege to be your host and moderator for this evening. Jeff is tied up with some guests this evening. So you may have noticed that Jeff has been taking the lead more on Thursdays. So, but that's okay. I'm happy to be here because this is always an exciting time and a dynamic time to be in this organization and to have an opportunity to speak to you because there's some of you here that maybe for the first time. If you don't mind, raise your digital hand if this is your first time hearing one of these product presentations connected with the company Engage Global. Just raise your digital hand if this is the first time that you're hearing one of our presentations. That just will alert me to where the direction that we need to go in. Okay, so we have one, and I think I see one or two people waving also. So we have a few that are hearing it for the very first time. And we applaud you. We applaud you for taking time out of your busy schedule and listening to or hearing an invitation that someone extended to you. Whoever that person was that extended this invitation to you, they cared about you a great deal, and they thought very highly of you. To tell you that there's something that you need to potentially give some consideration to. So, but before we actually launch into our discussion, I'm going to play a recording of one of our an individual who shared their story on a number of occasions. But it's so interesting that I think that everybody should hear it, especially when you're brand new. This is Martha Lawrence, and Martha Lawrence had a story that involved almost her entire family getting introduced to Micro Daily. And I'm sorry I don't have it in Spanish, and we don't have Spanish subtitles on it yet, but we will get the Spanish subtitles so that everyone will be able to follow along regardless of the language that you speak. So let's see if we can't play this real quick. And I'm just going to run through a really quick product presentation and give you an opportunity to ask a couple of questions tonight. Okay, so let's see how this goes. This is Martha Lawrence sharing her story.
Good evening. I just wanted to comment and say that I've been on the Micro Daily now since about April. And yes, my A1C, I was considered pre-diabetic, and my A1C has dropped tremendously. And also my brother in Virginia, he's diabetic very bad. He takes the insulin and 10 other medications. And what I did, I sent him 4 bottles of Micro Daily, and I told him to take it 2 times a day. And he's been taking it now for about the last, I guess, 6 weeks. Well, anyway, another brother of mine called and asked me, "What did you send Robert Van?" So I told him some supplements, Micro Daily. He says, he looks good. He says before he was like dying right before our eyes. His skin was dried out. He was just looked so unhealthy, and he had lost so much weight. He says now he's like a flower that was dying and was watered, and he has come back to life. So even Robert Van told me, he called and he says, "I feel better." He says, "I'm picking up weight." He says, "And I have an overall feeling of healthiness." But anyway, I told him not to stop taking his medications, to wait until he go and, to see his doctor, take his blood work and let the doctor take him off of his medications. So far, so good. He's doing much, much better. And I just wanted to let you know that Micro Daily did it. Well, for me, I was having a lot of problems with allergies, was allergic to foods such as eggs, peanut butter, um, dairy products, and they were giving me asthma-like symptoms. I would wheeze and so on. So when I started taking a micro daily, stop. And I found that I could eat eggs and peanut butter, but I mean, I didn't go overboard. I got good sense, you know. But I can now eat the foods that I was allergic to. And it has also helped me with, I had arthritis really bad. I could not straighten out my fingers in the morning. My hands were so stiff. Now I can actually move my fingers. And the first time it happened, I was like a little baby, you know, seeing my hands for the first time. So it has really helped my stiffness in my body, where I'm not as stiff anymore. And I have a tendency, I do exercise, but my body gets very sore. But now I'm able, it just for some reason, my body doesn't get as sore as it used to.
Okay, I'm going to interrupt Martha right there because she goes on for a little bit, and I'll just tell you one of the things that she says is I asked her how long did it take, and she said, oh, it was a couple of days. Because I remember her calling up and saying, is it possible that this could be working that fast? She just started like on a Tuesday, and it's Thursday. She calls up and she says she's staring at her hands like a little baby, just looking at them. She says, how is this even possible? After she'd been on so many pharmaceuticals and nothing had made a difference for her. So that's one story. But now we have someone who's right here at the meeting now that I'd like to invite Alex to share his story. Alex sent me a text just a couple of days ago about his story, and he hasn't been taking microdaily for very long, but it just reminded me of just how many people like Martha Lawrence were excited when they got results that they'd never imagined possible, especially someone who was healthy. That's what Martha Lawrence went on to say in her recording also. She's a health nut. She said she was taking all kinds of vitamins, and I didn't let the whole story play out, I'm sorry. She's taking all kinds of vitamins, and hundreds of dollars a month she was spending on supplements and was getting no relief. But now from microdaily, her life has changed and her family's life had changed. So let's see if we can't talk to Alex Holcomb here for a couple of minutes and get Alex to tell his story. So Alex, welcome, and thank you very much for being willing to share your story with us. If you don't mind, tell us a little bit about your symptoms first and the issues that you were dealing with, if any of it was clinical and diagnosed, fine. And then just tell us what you did that made things, start to change for you. Before you do, let me just mention something. One of my co-hosts reminded me we need to make sure that folks understand the FDA disclaimer, because I don't look good in orange. Testimonials are purely anecdotal. What happens to one person may or may not happen to you. Results are atypical. Engage Global, Jonathan Jones, and nobody else is making any claims that microdaily or any of the products that we're talking about today are a treatment or cure for disease. Only the government can declare anything to be a treatment or cure for disease. So these are not cures or treatments for any disease whatsoever. All we're talking about today is the food that's missing from our food. That's it. So Alex, go ahead, please. Tell us your story.
Well, I'd like to first mention that I first heard of this micro daily 3 years ago before the pandemic, and I tried a bottle, but I wasn't impressed. I was always exercising just about every form you can think of, and I always watched what I ate. I wasn't impressed. But about a month and a half ago, a good friend of mine from New York City, most of them knew him as the famous Bernard Dean, called me up. Hey, Alex, did you hear about our buddy over here in New York? Bob Raines. And so we got into it. And then at the end, he said, look, you got to try this. So I tried it. And though I was already healthy, I still, because of the results I received, to me, this is like a fountain of youth. Micro Daily is like a fountain of youth because, number one, there were a number of things. The first, I don't know, it was like a miracle to me. I was on stage because I do a lot of teaching. I was on stage, and there would come a time when I would get in a certain area or certain ways in the presentation, and I would get a little confused, and that didn't used to happen. Well, when you and Bernard told me about this brain boost, I said, well, that's the one I want to try. So on a Saturday evening, I tried the product because it came on a Saturday. Sunday morning when I got up, I tried it again. And here I am in this presentation. And I tell you, I was getting to the part where I normally get a little, I don't know, lose focus or whatever. At that moment, I had an epiphany where my brain went super sharp and focused. It was so amazing to me. I said, wow, it must be that micro daily because that's the only change that had taken place. So that was one thing. I also, despite the fact that I was jogging, lifting weights, and calisthenics, I had cold hands and cold feet. Disappeared. And as I started taking the micro daily, and mind you, some of these things came in a matter of hours, not days and weeks. Like the brain, it was like in a matter of hours. I had this focus that I had lost. Didn't even know that was why I was having the difficulties. But one of the final things that I like to mention, there were so many others, but time won't allow it. I When I wake up now, I wake up and it's like when I used to wake up when I was a kid. I'm done with bed. I don't want to like lay in bed. I want to get up and do things right away. And I say, wait a minute. Now mentally, I want to. It ain't time to get up. Why am I feeling like I'm ready to go do something? But that's how it made me feel. I said, this is like when I used to be a teenager. So that's why I say this product is like a fountain of youth. So many other things, but so as to cut it short, that's it. Uh, Many things. Glad I got to give it a second shot.
Thank you very much for sharing your story. I believe that there are individuals who no doubt can relate to you in some respects there, Alex, because none of us is getting any younger. But now, fortunately, we have a chance to kind of at least put the pause on the ravages of aging. See, because aging is misery for most people. We were able to now take some of the misery out of that. But you mentioned a couple things there, the coldness in your hands and your feet. Now, is that connected to diabetes or that's just poor circulation? And you were athletic.
Very good question, Jonathan. I do believe that it must have been poor circulation because not only that, my the color of my feet went two shades lighter, and
Wow.
the heels they went back to being super smooth and moist, like when I was a kid. They used to be kind of like dried out, and
Daily. Mm-hmm.
you know how, but it went super smooth, and I say, wow, my feet are also light. I don't know this must be, but then also, no more senior moments. I don't go into a room now. Now, why did I come in here? What was I? Where did I leave those keys? Uh, it doesn't happen. I'm really impressed with how fast Micro Daily works. It not only works, but it works fast.
Now, how old are you, Alex, for the record?
I am old enough to retire, and I have retired in the sense that when you get past 65, you consider it retired. But some of us go to 70. I'm pushing more toward that. I never get my age out unless people pay me a little money. Then I'll meet them in the back room and let them.
I met you for the first time. I was 18 years old when the first time I came to New York. And you were one of the first people at that headquarters organization that I met, and I'll never forget it. And I didn't meet Bernard until, I don't know, 3 or 4 years later. No, yeah, it would be about 3 or 4 years later before I would actually start to work there at that organization too.
Yeah.
So very interesting, and it's nice to see this all come full circle. Thank you for sharing your story with
Thank
us,
you.
Alex. And any updates, make sure you bring us any updates that come along, okay?
I will certainly do that. Thanks.
Again, folks, results are atypical. What happens to one person may or may not happen to you. Testimonies are purely anecdotal. We're not making any claims. Mr. Holcomb is not medically qualified to be able to say that anything treated or cured his situation. I'm not a doctor, and I'm not trying to tell you that he had any miraculous cure or otherwise. And I'm certainly not trying to say that Micro Daily, Brain Boost, or any of the other products that I'm going to show you here in a second are a treatment or cure for any disease. Only the federal government can declare anything to be a treatment or cure for a disease. But having said that, I do want to just very briefly introduce you to a brochure that we'd love to send you a copy of. So I'm not sure if it's available in Spanish or not, but we do have it here right now. Daily Nutrition to Live Your Best Life. And we are really, truly talking about daily nutrition. I think everybody needs to try to wrap your mind around that. That's what we're talking about. Daily nutrition. We're not talking about cures. We're not talking about treatment. We're talking about the food that's missing from our food. Please try to do that. It's just the food that's missing from our food. Originally, the United States government approached all the vitamin manufacturers. Everyone was invited to produce this special vitamin that the government wanted to give to the soldiers on the battlefield. That's what they wanted. They wanted to have the soldiers on the battlefield have the best nutrition possible. They wanted them to be healthy, and they wanted them to be able to function not from the outside in, but from the inside out. So Dr. Prasad was the only scientist that had the moxie to step up and say, I can do this. Dr. Prasad answered the call from the Department of Defense. Safety tests were completed, animal studies were completed, human trials were completed, and then this product, it was originally called military micronutrient formulation, was provided for the soldiers on the battlefield. Today we call it Micro Daily. This is the man behind it all. Now, I personally think that we should dedicate a week or so, and I'm going to do this. I'm going to have a week where we start to talk about many of the things that this man has done. So in fact, I want to try to do almost a little bit of a documentary. So I'm going to be setting that up for us so that we take pieces of this man's life and pieces of this man's work and bring it to the fore. So we understand that what we have today is not normal. What we have today truly is unique, and it is something special. But just wrap your mind around this guy being a professor of medicine at Colorado, at the University of Colorado. That's what he did for 30 years, focusing on cancer research. He's also a member of the British Society of Medicine, also a former president of this other Society of Cancer and Nutrition, connected to the Nobel Peace Prize nominated committee. This man became the world's first radiation biology PhD. His products have been awarded 7 US patents. There are 2 patent pendings right now. One of them associated with a Micro Daily EMF, and one particular component of how it functions. He said in our discussion on cancer about 3-4 weeks ago, he said that when you elevate antioxidants, multiple antioxidants simultaneously, more than one thing is happening. Your glutathione levels go through the roof, number one. But he also said the feeding portals for the cancer get plugged up. So raising high levels of antioxidants in the body puts a sock in the mouth of the cancer cells. I think that's pretty good. He's got a patent pending on that research that he's uncovered. The government awarded $12.5 million, some $24 million total went into the research and development of this product, Micro Daily. But the most important, most significant thing that I think this man has done is right there. I just had a conversation with a gentleman just yesterday, and he said he's taking something called butyric acid. And I was so happy to tell him, guess who figured out the butyric acid was cytotoxic to cancer, had anti-cancer properties. He said, what? I said, yeah, the gentleman who manufactured the formulator for the product that you're doing, that butyric acid you have right there, the reason it's on the market is because this man figured out that it had anti-cancer properties to it. So that's one of his published works. Since he wrote an article on butyric acid, 500 other scientists decided to follow suit and write documents on it and do more research on it. But he was the first one. He's also the first one to figure out that vitamin E succinate is cytotoxic to cancer cells. Remember that. Because the same gentleman said to me, oh, I'm taking everything on here. Looked at the bottle, the ingredients. He said, well, I'm taking all of this already. I said, well, have you ever heard of vitamin E succinate? He said, what's that? I said, the vitamin E you're taking is probably vitamin E acetate. The only one that's cytotoxic to cancer cells is vitamin E succinate. This is the man who figured it out, and that's the one he's got in his formula. Oh, okay, well, how do I get that? You would ask that question. That was the only that was now the right thing to say. How do I get that? Because the one thing that you want in your body more than anything is, instead of cancer promoting agents, you want cancer fighting agents. That's what you want. You want cancer fighting agents. See, and Dr. Prasad has made that possible for us to have cancer fighting agents. But connect that to this gentleman here, David Nemelka, a relatively young entrepreneur, venture capitalist. The man, as he said in an interview this past weekend, he was connected to billions of dollars in venture capital money. And one day, this product and this company, the opportunity came to the fore. He decided now to invest in himself, this product, and that man. And the company, Engage Global, was born. A few years later, he completely purchased the entire formula and all the research. Now it's exclusive property of Engage Global. Now, this is not an opportunity meeting, but it's just trying to tell you the value of what we have. This is not something you can go pick up at Walmart. I believe that it became available to us. The fact that it became available to us is purely a fluke. And I told David Nemelka the first time I met him about 7 or 8 years ago, I said, what are you going to do when they figure out that they don't want this on the market, when they don't want this, the genie out of the bottle? What are you going to do when they figure that out? He said, well, by that time, there'll be millions of people on the product. That's what he said. I said, well, okay, well, I hope you're ready. I hope you're ready for it, because people need to know about this one. Now, these are the ingredients. And once again, I challenge you, say all you want that these are things that you're already taking. But the one thing that I know that you don't know anything about, because I didn't know anything about it after 30 years of being in the industry, was this vitamin E succinate. It's powerful, crosses the blood-brain barrier, and does every vitamin E would ordinarily do, and a whole lot more. That's powerful. It's cytotoxic to cancer cells. Doesn't mean that it cures or kills glioblastoma. Dr. Prasad said to me personally, he said, no, we can't get enough of it to cross the blood-brain barrier to kill glioblastoma. Those were his official words. That was his response when I asked him the question. Well, the other two major things that's in this product, in my opinion, are those things right there. N-acetylcysteine raises lymphocytic glutathione levels. The same gentleman who is taking all of these things said that he was also taking glutathione. Well, the money he was spending or wasting on glutathione, he could now divert his attention to something that's really going to do him some good. Because if you try to buy and eat glutathione, it's like eating brains and thinking it's going to make you smart. It won't happen. It just doesn't go that way. When you eat glutathione, most of it is destroyed in digestion. But when you eat the precursors for glutathione, your body manufactures the glutathione. That's the difference. So Dr. Prasad's standard is this one, CQF standard. And you'll hear a little bit more about that on a different recording at some point. But the reasons why we had health is all because of oxidative stress and free radical damage. oxidative stress, and free radicals. That's the reason why bad health. This product addresses the core causes of bad health by providing us with the food, the nutrients necessary for our bodies to be able to fight back. The most powerful thing in your body is your immune. It's so powerful, it can kill you without even trying. The immune system is the most powerful thing we have. It's so powerful, it can kill you without even trying. What we need is that most powerful asset we have invoked in our behalf. And that's what microdaily causes. Dr. Prasad made a gummy for children. He made a gummy for children. They love it. And it's based on his best, most powerful formula. This one right here, the EMF. This is the one you want to take note of, folks. Keep in mind that the reason why this is one that that you need to take note of is because 5G technology is 700 times more powerful than the original cell phone technology. And let me tell you something. If you're old enough to be on this call and understand this conversation right now, you know that the original cell phones, they called them bricks. And the ones before the bricks came out, they sat underneath your seat in the car. They were like microwaves. You're like sitting on a nuclear device causing cancer. And 5G technology is 700 times more powerful than the originals. Dr. Prasad, the world's first radiation biology PhD, decided to add 4 more ingredients to his already amazing formula to produce microdaily EMF. This is the one that all of us should be taking. We should not settle for anything less than that. The other products I think are phenomenal. You just heard some amazing things about this one right here, the Brain Boost. Can't say enough about that one. I make sure I take 2 of those every day. And by the way, I take 6 of these in the morning and 6 of them in the evening. And when I make the mistake of getting lazy and missing, then my body tells me that I made a mistake. Because and there are folks who complain and say, I have to take this every day. I ask them, how often do they eat? Well, your meals are important to you. That's why you eat every day. The problem is there's food missing in your food. The key, most important reason for eating is not your pleasure, although that's a byproduct of it. That's something we happen to enjoy. The pleasure of eating, that's phenomenal. My wife is a very good cook, by the way. And my mother-in-law, phenomenal. My sister-in-law is excellent cooks. I love it. But there's something missing in every single meal. Real nutrition. I hate to say it. And even though we buy as organic as you possibly can, there's food missing from our food. I don't care how organic, I don't care how clean you eat. There's food missing in our food. I take 6 of these twice a day. I'm 60 years old. And I know that I'm deficient. I know that I'm in that senior citizen category now. I hate to say it, but I'm confident enough. I have accepted it. I'm embracing it. It is what it is. And the other products, the person who invited you can kind of give you an explanation as to the difference between the other products, but they're all extremely good. But know that the EMF formula has the methylated bees in it. So that's the one you want to go with if you can at all. The Brain Boost, phenomenal. Everything about COVID is on this list of, oh, by the way, this is what it does. Everything about COVID is on the list of, oh, by the way, this is what Brain Boost does. The main thing has to do with brain fog and memory. Those 2 things are important. iBoost, also extremely good. Before we finish our discussion, before we end this discussion, I'd like to just tell you 2 things on this page. Everything on this page is very good, including this part here about the patent for diabetes. Very important. And also this is very important. The fact that it has a patent for DNA protection and repair. But that's not the main thing I want to tell you about. The main thing I want to tell you about was I said 2 things, number 1 and number 2. These are lungs that came from 2 different rabbits. I believe they were in the same family or genetically equal to each other. That's the way science is done. When they do science, they take animals that are genetically in the same category so that nobody can say, oh, well, that one had a certain gene and had a certain this, it had a certain that. It's too tall, too short, too fat, too skinny, too black, too white, too whatever. Same everything. And they fed them both. and fed them well. They fed one good food, but they fed one good food and the food that's missing from food. Then they zapped them both with lethal doses of radiation. And this is their lungs. One set of lungs here looks more like liver. The other set looks more like what a lung should look like. Now, the reason we're looking at the lungs is because they both died. I said that they were lethal doses of radiation. But think about it. Wrap your mind around it for 1 second. How would you want your lungs to look if you got zapped with lethal doses of radiation? And might I present to you Exhibit A? We're being zapped with lethal doses of radiation every single day. Don't take my word for it. Go to the World Health Organization's website and search for cell phone technology. Search and see what it says about cell phones at the World Health Organization. They're in the same category as cigarettes, carcinogenic, same category as cigarettes. This one was fed the food that's missing from food. So I highly recommend that if you don't do anything else, put food back in your food. Put food back in your diet if you don't do anything else. And if you don't take anything else from this discussion, that's the one thing that you need to make yourself aware of, that we're being robbed right now. And I personally don't think it's fair. I really don't. I think it's criminal to be in a situation that we're in right now. It makes me kind of mad sometimes, to be quite honest with you folks. I'm sorry about that. I get off my soapbox now. So we got about 5 minutes. We'll see if there's some questions that anybody wants to ask. Any questions about anything that we've discussed or anything that you've ever wondered about? I may not have the answers. I got a good bit of them, but I don't have all the answers. And I don't mind telling you what I do know. Go ahead, Bernard.
Donovan, there was quite a few people wrote me this week as to can children, well, they said 5 and 6, but how young can children be to take these products? And that includes one of them wanted the brain boost, the micro daily, and even the CBD. So could you give us a little bit more information on that, please?
Good question. The official answer, Dr. Prasad says, it should not be given to infants. But I have a picture. I wish I could download it right now to show you. Jeff and Helen Ashby, their great-granddaughter, the grandbaby, loves hydro. And this little infant baby, they got a picture of the little infant baby with a bottle with hydro. Infant baby still sucking on a bottle, and the bottle is full of hydro. So this kid would get a full pack of hydro every single day, healthy as can be. So Dr. Prasad has admitted that none of the products are unsafe and none of them are harmful to anyone. The gummies can be given to children, and none of them are harmful at all. If I was dealing with an infant with some vision problems, I would probably start out slow, very low, maybe a half a capsule for the brain boost and the eye boost. In fact, I probably wouldn't even be giving infants brain boost or eye boost, but if they got a particular problem, I would. Now, let's say, for example, you're dealing with something like autism. We have heard so many anecdotal stories about children with autism on just microdaily. Forget all the other products, just microdaily alone. I tell you a firsthand story. A little girl, cutest little girl, but as I approached, she ran behind her mom's skirt. And no matter where I went to try to meet this little girl, trying to meet the little girl, she would not come out. And the mom says, "I'm so sorry, she's autistic." I said, "Autistic? She's too cute to be autistic." But that little child would not come anywhere near until she eventually got a little bit more comfortable. Well, anyway, fast forward about 5 or 6 years, that little girl taking micro daily came up to me one day and just grabbed me and hugged me. But she could barely reach my knees. She hugged me and she looks up and she says, straight in my eyes, she says, "Thank you for helping my mommy." And I interviewed her on a different occasion, her and her mom. They were sitting on the camera and they didn't want it to be published. So, but I still have the recording. So if one day you want to see the recording, you guys can hit me up someday and we would have to do it not when it's being recorded. And This little girl answered all the questions like she never had been ever anywhere near the autism spectrum. That's all I can tell you on that one. So microdaily by itself has done that. Dolores has had some stories with her grands and great grandchildren. Go ahead, Dolores, please.
Yes, I just want to say I have 7 great grands, all taking micro daily, either the hydro or the gummy. I have one, she has been taking it since she was maybe like a year and a half old. She was, at that time we didn't have the gummies, so she was taking the hydro. So, and I have 2 more that's taking gummies, and I have 4 more that's drinking the hydro. They love the hydro. The one that's 3 years old, she is a healthy little girl. She's never been sick. When it comes to eating, it really amazed me because I was wondering, does the hydro have anything to do with this? This little girl eats healthy. She will not eat an egg yolk. She eats vegetables. She wants the broccoli stem. So macro deli has done excellent for my great grands. I really thank Dr. Prasad and David for them.
Thanks, very good. Go ahead, Bernard. Thank you, Dolores.
Jonathan, you want to get Gail first? You can.
Okay, please, Gail. Love to hear from Gail. Question or comment?
Thank you. I was just wondering, sometimes people take DIM to lower estrogen levels. Would the microdaily work very effectively if they just stuck with microdaily? And then also, is the collagen product much more effective than brain boost? And because if I understand correctly, it removes plaque off the brain. So
good questions. Good questions. I'm going to leave the estrogen one off on the side. I will send that question to Dr. Prasad and ask him about it and try to get your comment on that one. I have not heard of it having a direct impact on estrogen per se. So, and I'm not sure that he's ever done any studies on it. And I'm not sure that we've had any anecdotal comments on that either. But as far as the brain is concerned, brain boost and collagen work on 2 different technologies. The brain boost primarily is food for neurons. So there was a myth at one time that says that we did not grow new neurons. That's not true. As the body does produce new neurons, it needs the proper nutrients. The brain boost is primarily nutrient for new neurons. Collagen, on the other hand, blocks what is that acid called? There's a fluid that damages the neurons. I need more brain boost. Something got to make this kick in.
So sorry, I don't know what acid that is.
No, it's directly connected to Alzheimer's and early stages of dementia. As soon as we're done with the call, I'll tell you exactly what it is. I have it on one of my slides. But because of—
Is it dopamine?
What's that?
Is it dopamine?
No, you like that. That's one of the good guys. So
Correct.
you want to do that. But this is I have no idea why it's not coming to mind right now, but it directly damages neurons and damages the area of the brain that's associated with memory. So collagen interrupts that. We've had the situation where Michi Morris was telling her story about her mom and her dementia, 10 years in a demented state, and suddenly began to respond to instructions. We just recently had a story where a woman told a story about just putting her husband with dementia on I think the brain boost and probably the collagen, and the very next day he responded to a command to hang up his pants. He'd not done that in years, she said. So the 2 of them have 2 different functions as far as the brain is concerned. So you really can't have one without the other. You need them both if you really want to target the brain. If I had to choose one or the other, I would probably choose the collagen, just because if nothing else, it's stopping that degeneration of neurons. It stops me from losing that portion of the brain more than the feeding part. And I also, because the collagen has so many other benefits. So if I had to choose one or the other, I would probably go with the collagen. I hope that answers your question, Gail. And I'll get you an answer on the estrogen, okay?
Yes, definitely. Thank you.
You're quite welcome. Go ahead, Bernard, please.
Okay, I know the only thing I knew about the brain was that the cerebral, that fluid, too much of it, I know can be damaging. The cerebral spinal fluid. But you know what I wanted to ask you, Jonathan, and this is what I'm getting a lot of. We hear a lot of experiences as far as dementia, on the beginning stages of dementia, and a number of people have called me and said, okay, they hear all these wonderful stories. And today you said, I take 6 in the morning, 6 in the evening. Well, obviously, one bottle for the month does not equate to 6 in the morning, 6 in the evening. It only equates to 3 in the morning, 3 in the evening for the EMF, or the 2 in the evening, 2 in the morning, 2 in the evening for the original micro daily product, which equates to a month's supply. So just wanted to make that clear, is that the normal dose is 3 and 3, but you may want to comment as to why you take 6 and 6, which is an exceptional case. But I want to know, what is the act along with that, maybe following, what is people that have dementia, or the following stages of dementia, which I have a great experience of, what do people give people that are actually going through dementia? And what do you recommend to go along with that as far as products?
Well, I'll tell you, Bernard, there are a lot of folks, before we even had the brain boost and before collagen was available, a lot of people with early stages of dementia benefited from microdaily. There was one gentleman, he was in fact one of those full-time ministers, one of those full-time traveling ministers. His mother was suffering with dementia. And they were shocked just by putting her not on the double dose like I take. They were shocked just by putting her on a regular dose that she began to actually do things and regain control of her life to a degree. She went to the refrigerator and measured out a portion of grapes that she wanted and sat down and enjoyed them. She hadn't been able to do that for herself in a long time. And that was just on microdaily. So if a person really wants to try to improve their health, the key to the whole thing is reducing oxidative stress. The key to better quality of life is reducing oxidative stress. And by the way, that's beta amyloids is that product that has to be removed from our brain. It's got to be detoxed out of the brain, beta amyloids, because beta amyloids, if left unchecked, does damage to the neurons in the brain and affects memory.
Well, your brain bill kicked in, didn't it?
Oh yeah, it just had to make its way on down there. It had to make its way down there and do its thing. But,
so how many are they taking of that micro daily? Do you recommend for individuals that may have friends, family, or even themselves experiencing symptoms of dementia?
Listen, if a person takes 2 capsules twice a day of the original, they're getting more food than they were getting from their food a minute ago. They're now getting some food that's missing from their food. If that's all they do, if that's all you can afford is one of the original product per month, $55 per month, plus the $9 shipping. If that's all you can afford, go with that. If you want to step it up and go with a better quality, then go with the purple bottle. Go with the purple bottle, the methylated Bs. Take 2 in the morning, 2 in the evening. That's neutral. That's breaking even. If your budget can bear it, add a dose if you're over 50. Being 50 and older is considered aging. Add a dose. Once I passed aging and hit what they call senior citizen, I decided 1 extra dose wasn't going to do it for me. I was going to have to double my doses. I'm not disciplined enough to take it every 8 hours, so I just do twice in the morning and twice in the evening, because I will not do it in the middle of the day because I'm too busy doing other things. But when I'm at my desk early in the morning and when I'm at my desk in the evening, I reach over there and grab it and I take it. I keep some in the car and I keep some in the bedroom just in case I somehow overlook it and I get too busy with it. So that's the reason why I go with the double dose. So if you hit between 50 and 60, I believe you need to do a bottle and a half a month. That's my personal recommendation, but you can get by. I've seen people, Bernard, taking pediatric doses, seniors taking pediatric doses and feeling better. I've seen it happen because
I
the
had
body is so
Go ahead.
nutritionally deficient. The body's so nutritionally deficient that anything will help.
Well,
So
I had someone that called me up this week, and I think she's on the line. And she called me up and she said, "Hey, Bernard," she said, "I need you to hear something." I said, "What?" I said, "What?" She said, "No, no." I said, "Was it bad?" I said, "Get me prepared. You want me to talk to somebody. I want to know what I'm getting ready to get hit with." And she says, "No," she said, I just need you to hear this person. It started out bad, but just listen to them." And I think she's on here. I'm not sure whether it was Carolyn, but she got her hand up. But I need you to hear this because I need everybody on this call to know what you have in your hands. I think a lot of people on this call don't realize what they have in their hands. I had a guy call me, the most skeptical man in the world, never bought nothing. He started taking micro daily. In 3 days, he called me up, and this is quote what he said. He said, "Hey, man," he said, "does these capsules have Holy Spirit in it?" I said, "What?" I said, "What?" He said, "No," he said, "I've taken a lot of stuff." He said, "But this is the first time I've ever taken something." He said, "I got clarity." He said, "My mind just cleared up like a fog, was gone." So Carolyn has her hand up. She might be the one that called me, but you need to hear this experience because everybody on this call, you don't realize what you have in your hands. But with your permission, Jonathan, maybe Carolyn.
that's possible. No, absolutely. And here's what I have to do is Bernard, I'm transferring host to you. I've got to step away. And
Okay, then I can do that.
please interview her.
You'll be right back, though, right?
No, I've got to step away. I got to step into another meeting so you can conclude the meeting.
Okay, then. Well, we only have 10 more minutes, and this is
Right.
one of experience. So I'll finish it out for you,
Very
and
good.
and then we'll. All right. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Okay, Carolyn, go ahead. Let's hand it over to you. By the way, if any of you have any experience for the next 10 minutes, there's been a saying that says, "Facts tell, stories sell." So your experiences, keep them within 2 minutes. Give them to us so that everyone on this line will know that what you have in your hand is real. Go ahead, Carolyn. Up. Did we lose Carolyn?
Hey, yeah, I'm still here. I'm here.
Go ahead, Carolyn.
Yeah, well, actually, it's a friend of mine in South Carolina. Her husband had dementia, right? And so she got her product. I think it was like Wednesday night, and they took the product. It was like 11 o'clock. They took the micro daily, and she gave him the brain boost, right? And so the next morning, that's when she started noticing some things began to happen with him. She said that at first he had awakened and he was getting up. He said that he was putting on his pants because he thought someone was coming to get him. And she said, "No, nobody is coming to get you. Get back into the bed." He did get back into the bed. However, a little later, as she was talking to him, he told her he didn't know her. And this really, caused her to cry because she thought this was, she had worked with dementia patient before, right? And it happened that sometimes, they get to that point to where they don't know you. So when he told her, her husband told her he did not know her, he said, she said, that just began to make her cry. However, a little later, he apologized to her. He apologized to her several times, saying he was sorry. "I told you I didn't know you. I know you." So I just thought that was truly amazing, because dementia patients, they don't remember stuff. They don't remember, but he remembered telling her, "I didn't know you." And this was probably maybe a little less than 12 hours. And she gave him another dose too, of course. But it was truly amazing. I mean, it was so many little things that happened in under 24 hours. I mean, I could go on and on. You know, I really want her to tell her story. She can tell it in a way that is truly amazing. But what I, you know, my question was, how can something like that make such a difference in someone's life that quickly? That was going to be my question to Jonathan, you know, because I just can't. I mean, I keep saying, what did it do to cause him to be able to? I mean, he could take his dentures out of his mouth, right, and you know, put the adhesive on it. Now he couldn't do none of that. All right, he can do that
Is
and put them in his mouth.
he's actually progressed to that?
Yes.
Now, let me just add to, and we're gonna give a couple more people a chance to maybe relate theirs. But she said she tested him. I was on the phone with her, by the way, with Carolyn, and she said she tested him. She says she laid some pants on the end of the bed, if you remember, and she said she left away. She left out, and she actually told him, "You need to put your pants up." She said she went out the room for 5 minutes. She came back. She looked over, and he was actually putting his pants, hanging his pants up in the closet. And she said he has never made an intelligent statement in over 5 years. And she said she looked at him and said, "I'm sorry, I did not remember you." And she said he said it so clearly. She said she was crying. She was calling all her friends. Long story short, at the end, she told me, she says, "You know what? I thought I just wanted to be a customer, but I want to be an affiliate because this family has some incredible products." So I want to thank you, Carolyn, for that. That was an amazing experience coming from someone that is experiencing a lot of challenges. They took care of me, but now I have to take care of him. She said, "But I believe my husband is on the road to having a better quality of life." So thank you so much, Carolyn, for that. And we look forward to hearing from her, by the way. Invite her to some of these experiences.
She'll be able to tell her story because nobody can tell it like her.
No, I'm telling you, she had me crying on the other. I had to mute, you know, because I'm trying to be a real man stuff. And I was sitting over there crying just like she was. So it was a call out the blue, and I've gotten so many calls lately. Thank you so much. Do anyone have something that amazed them that they can tell us within a couple of minutes that this product has done for them and perhaps changed the life of a friend, a family member, or themselves? This is your hour, people, to tell your story if you had any. And Alex, I appreciate you telling yours too, and Carolyn. Well, basically, I tell you, I'm sitting at the house of one person, and this will be the last one because I want to make sure to stay within the hour that was promised. I was over a friend of mine's house, and some of you may have seen his experience. He's one of them skeptical people that never believe what I say, but that's okay. He started taking the microdaily only, the EMF, and as he was taking it, he's a big guy. I always call him Hulk, but he was wearing a size 13 shoe because even though he wears a 10, his feet is so swollen that he could not get into his regular shoe. And it was amazing. Whenever I would come over his house, sit one of my best friends, he could not really take the garbage out to the can and come back without really being totally out of breath. Well, after he started taking this product within a few days, one day he called me over. He says, "Bernard, you need to come over here." I said, "What?" He said, "No, I need you to show you something. Come over here." So I came over, and he looked at it. He said, "Look at my feet." His feet had went from that 13 down to a 10. And his wife was looking, and he was telling me, matter of fact, I'm looking at him now, by the way, I'm over his house. But he just came in from out there grilling. But then he showed me his leg that was darker with no circulation. And all of a sudden, his legs started turning light. Just what happened with Alex, his circulation started coming back. Well, some amazing things have taken place since then. He not only able to go out to the garbage can, but his sentences are so complete, just very similar to seminars. He's getting ready to actually give similar to seminars again because he can do complete sentences. He is going out walking all the way down the street. We were the other day, we walked way down the street, and he is having no challenges in that area. He's feeling better. And he looked at me and said, "Man," he said, "I really appreciate you sharing this with me." Now, I say all of that to tell you this. Some people ask the question, am I with the right company at the right time with the right product? And I'll say to you, absolutely yes. Absolutely yes. Now, why do I say that? I say that because how many of us have ever been with a company that's been a total failure, that we got to talk people into feeling stuff? You ever seen that? You feel that? Just think about it for a minute. You feel it? You try and talk them into it. And in this case, we don't have to talk them into it. All we have to do is offer it, share it. What is your responsibility? To share this product with your friends. If you want them to feel better, share it. And the company is so confident of their product that they'll give you a 3-day supply, a 3-day sample at no cost to the person. But of course, with us, as we sell products, they even give us free samples. That's not really free because they're paying for it. And they'll send it to them from the company. How many of us have ever had a company like that, that we could sell products and they give us other products so that we can present it to people that really need? So I say to you this, people, in conclusion, you are in the right place with the right company, with the right product at the right time, but is it the right time in your life? That's something that we definitely encourage you to take a look at. If you're on here for the first time, thank you so much for coming. And we look forward to you coming back with all these incredible stories and helping us to appreciate that indeed our job we're fulfilling, which is changing people's lives. So perhaps, again, thank you all for coming on. It's now 7 o'clock. We're going to stay within the parameters. Some of you want to see world news tonight. You can go do it. And we're going to ask everyone to unmute and say good night to everyone.
Let's go.
Good
Good night.
night.
Good night, all.
Great
Good night, all.
Excellent job.
Wayne
Let's
from
call it
Florida,
9 p.m.
Port St. Lucie,
Eastern. It's in the
Florida.
chat.
Florida in the
Good
house.
night.
Yeah. By the
Good
way,
night, all.
look in the chat. Those of you that have veterans, we have a in the chat. You want to make sure that you bring the veterans. They get that half price in there. So that's a huge thing for veterans. And also, we have Dr. Cole on here. I apologize to you. I should have gave her a moment to present.
That's okay. That's okay.
yeah,
Thank you so much.
But you know, everybody's gone. But you can take this opportunity at the end and tell them be on there at 12 o'clock.
Lunch and learn.